13th, 7 a.m. One concert, over 60 artists, including Bob Dylan, Mick Jagger, Tina Turner, Tom Petty, and Madonna in the U.S., and U2, David Bowie, Elvis Costello, and The Who in the UK, banding together to halt the African famine crisis. Only one channel has all 17 hours of Live Aid, MTV Music Television. Join us.
This is it. 16 hours of the biggest rock and roll concert of all time. You're here, we're all here. Stay with us and you'll see every minute live on MTV.
From here in the USA and England, from Russia, China, Yugoslavia, Japan, there has never been anything like it.
It's 6:57 a.m. here in JFK Stadium in Philadelphia, and we are all up early to watch history in the making.
I'm Mark Goodman with Martha Quinn. We'll be here with Alan Hunter and Nina Blackwood. Now, Al is out in the stadium, and Nina is backstage right now. J.J. Jackson's at Wembley Stadium in London, and we're glad that you're with us. Nina.
Good morning. From now until the last roadie clears out of here, MTV will broadcast live. More than 60 of rock and roll's greatest artists will play on stages all around the world. They've dropped what they're doing, they've packed their bags, and they've flown in specially to donate their talent. Supergroups have reunited, all-star jam sessions have been scheduled, and Alan Hunter is out on the field with the crowd.
As you can see in here, it is crowded. The parking lot is full of people who have camped out all night long, and in just a few minutes, those folks are going to be in here. They're going to be streaming in to see history. The goal, to save 13 million lives and then to go on to wipe out hunger for good. So, it's just about time to start. Let's get back to home base.
All right. Alan, thanks. In a moment, we're going to be going to Wembley Stadium in London, where our guest VJs will be Prince Charles and Princess Di. And then it's the music. Sting, U2, Dire Straits, David Bowie, Elton John, plus an historic reunion of The Who and a grand finale with Paul McCartney.
Then at 9 a.m., 2 hours from now, we're going to start switching back and forth between Wembley and the concert here at JFK, where you'll catch Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, Bryan Adams, Eric Clapton, Madonna, Hall & Oates, Jagger and Turner.
Wait, Jagger and Turner.
We are getting ready to go over to Wembley Stadium in London.
Well, welcome to an audience that we don't know who's going to watch, but here we are, two guys that from Philly. That my name is Carl Candello. Here I am in California doing our podcast, talking with Cuz, my great cousin Vince Ferrari. He's back in New Jersey, and seems like, you know, this the summertime. You know, everybody's busy doing no podcasts, but the last couple of podcasts we've done is the commemorative 50th anniversary of our beloved Flyers from back in the day, not the current Flyers, but another significant day in my life, and I think yours, was a little innocent part-time job we both had, working for a company called Spectacard back in Philadelphia. And they had the contract for security for all the major venues like the Spectrum, where the Flyers and 76ers and concerts, Vet Stadium, where they ended up having concerts later, but then some outdoor shows that we knew that the Christmas before they had the Feed the World, the whole benefit thing, and then it blew up into something that spring and then that summer for a benefit concert or concerts. And it grew to something to the point of one in London and one in the United States. And just so happened that Philadelphia was able to get the venue of JFK. And there's a video here we have of the promoter, Bill Graham, how they ended up getting that. But everything seemed to have fallen into place. It was for hunger in Africa, and I know it did help out quite a lot. And, you know, that's 40 years ago. So this coming weekend, it's the 13th, actually, this on the Saturday that it was, that we went to work. And we didn't realize how phenomenal that day was. So, Cuz, welcome. And you always mention driving into the parking lot, what you experienced.
Before I go into that, the first thing I was thinking of was Sam Kinison, who just said, pack them up, go where the food is. But I guess that's in bad taste. Yeah. I'll never forget it. We were driving in, had to be somewhere around 5 o'clock, because I know it was, think about it, it's July, it was pitch black. The Vet Stadium parking lot was packed, rocking, the music smelled like weed. I'll never forget the vision of that. And, working a long day from, getting there at 5:30. And I think that the first act they had from the U.S. was the Hooters. The Hooters opened up the U.S. part of it, right?
Yeah, and I think I wanted to end up having maybe a marathon one like we did for the Flyers winning the Cup with Sam and some other people, and I reached out to some people. But for whatever reason, schedules, and the one that I really wanted to get was the head of security back then, Ron, that we knew, and he politely backed off for some other reasons. He says maybe down the road because he has tons of stories, because to have a venue like that and to run for that many hours. Now, we started about 4 or 5 months before that, working mostly at the Spectrum. Yeah. It was the best part-time job. You had your day job. I had my day job. I was in the video cassette business. And I knew I would always, the days I'd have to work at the Spectrum, I would always have the clients near Philly or whatever, so I could go down there. But never did we think that this was going to be this crazy. But then I realized it was July. It was going to be mid-80s, high humidity. So I made sure I went to the store. I got grapes. I got a lot of food because who knew but it was so well organized. So when we went there, because I'm going to have to show a picture for people who are going to watch from wherever, that the sports complex, let's see, the whole sports complex? I don't know. There it is. This is previous from years before that when they had the Army-Navy game. But that little building in the middle was the Spectrum, no longer there. And they used that as the base for all of us. Because in the interview, they said there was about 1,200 people working here, I guess, behind backstage, stagehands, security. There had to be at least 200 to 300 of us. Yeah. And it was set up, we would check in. Our breaks would be there, our food would be there, and actually 1 or 2 concession stands were open if people wanted to buy, lunch, dinner, whatever it was. So we didn't have cell phones, but so we both walked into the building, and I guess we both saw each other in there, and we got our assignments. My assignment was, I forget what the section was, but to me, I would say it was stage right, up in the other tier, 1 or 2 sections, but then we got separated right after that. And I didn't see you till later that day or that evening. So where were you during the main festivities?
I was stage right, but I was at the 30-yard line past midfield.
Oh, so, the other one. You're closer to the oval.
Yeah, but you know what? Okay, I'm having a hard time remembering, gee, they're so far away, but it was great. I mean, the people had such a good time and nothing to complain about.
From that picture, where would you have been, Ben?
To the left.
In the middle?
I would say, because you see where the oval is now, the end zone would, I'd say 20 yards, maybe 40 yards past the lighting thing in the middle of the field.
Okay, so I was closer.
Think about where the 30-yard line. Think where midfield would be there.
Yeah.
But this goes 20 yards past on the left.
So now our main job was actually ushering. Yes, just ushers, just to make sure they found their seat. There was no seats. JFK was basically board and just with seat number on it. And so we had to be at the gate. So you see the original MTV opening at 7 o'clock, and that's when they opened the doors. We had to be there at 5:30. We had to be at our post by 7:15, and they opened the doors at 7, and people started coming in. And and it was an amazing time, and that's before, but time went by so fast. And let's see.
16-hour day, 17-hour day it was.
Yeah, so this is probably midday. You see not a place open. The Broad Street side.
How hot was it there?
The forecast, I think the high got up to 88, 89, but the humidity was still 60, 70%. Yeah, you were saturated. It was insane.
But here's the thing. About a month later at the Vet, they had a Wham concert.
Yeah.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm not saying it.
But it had rained earlier in the day, and they had a tarp in the outfield. It was oppressively humid. I didn't get that sense here
because first of all, there was no
like
rain, and there was the artificial surface that it wasn't the natural grass that the water was able to just to run into and whatever. Now, if it rained, it would have been almost like a Woodstock, on that field. But it was still a great but they actually put from what I heard, it was from I heard that Mayor Good actually allowed them. They got the facility for free, and they were going to pick up trash. But then they put a tarpaulin on it because actually this is well before the NovaCare Center for the Eagles. They put a tarp down over the field so they didn't destroy the field because the Eagles were going to have training camp probably within a couple of weeks. So they're going to need it for football season. So it was, we didn't know what to expect, and it was just a lot of fun, and it's a sea of people. So there's a video now. It was one of the original. Some people paid $35, and some people, they had the golden one. It was like a $50 event. So, and this was the main promotion.
Yeah, with all the acts.
Yeah, 40 years ago this weekend. So thanks for our friends at MTV. They have everything on YouTube and everything, and I'm just using them and letting people know that I'm using the MTV. But here's a video of how it got together, and Bill Graham, who's had international promoting concerts everywhere and actually was able to actually finalize everything. It's a great little interview.
On stage, the Wembley Arena in London, Live Aid continues. Paul Weller and the Style Council. But here with me right now is Bill Graham, the man who has helped make this happen here in the United States. Bill, you've been through hundreds of concerts over your years in rock and roll, hundreds of benefit concerts. What makes Live Aid so special for you?
Well, the logistical madness, 40 groups in 14 hours here, reaching a couple of billion people around the world, trying to get them on and off the stage, and hopefully the good things that will come out of it. But just the challenge of working with another concert in Wembley, separated by an ocean, timing. When we're off the stage, we diamond vision the English acts on here. When we're on, it goes over there. The fact that Bob Geldof walked out with Prince Charles and Lady Diana, rock and roll in the streets, and royalty in Philadelphia and London, Taiwan, Zurich.
For example, could you estimate how many people are working backstage here today?
We've got about 1,200 people working here today.
This is a huge backstage. There is a small city back there.
Yes.
How many people are we expecting today here?
92,000 here, 72,000 in London. Viewing audience throughout the world of about 2 billion people.
2 billion people. And is there any discussion from the people in England? How much money do you think we're going to raise today with this event?
I think we're looking at a bottom of 10 mil and going up from there.
An exciting concert for you, though. What has been the most difficult thing about pulling it together?
The biggest fear is that some wire will go off. We've eliminated the human factor problem. For the first time ever, I put a porta-john on stage. You ain't going anywhere. You ain't running off.
All of us have been talking. If you work in music for a while, you kind of tend to get sort of maybe a little jaded. How do you feel about an event of this magnitude?
There's something wrong. It's really great. I feel there's nothing wrong. The fear is what's going to go wrong. The cooperation has been fantastic. The artists, the staff, and the tie-in with London is that it's a new experience for all of us. And as you said, it gets routine after a while. This is so out of routine.
And the fact that all of the artists have wound up joining together, not only internationally, but within each individual concert, collaborations that are happening, just a phenomenal worldwide collaboration.
Well, what's good about this, because of the media attention, rock and rollers have been doing this for years, supporting worthy causes all these years, from Graham Nash to Jackson Browne to Harry Chapin to the Dead.
I'll tell you what, Bill. Everybody here is listening to the music, watching England on the Diamond Vision screen, America watching here with us. Let's go back to Wembley.
Great.
Style counts are on stage. Most of what Live Aid is about is music, and here it is.
So that's just a taste of the logistics of, and they put it all together within 2 months. And
what time was that call? I mean, break that interview. What time was that interview?
That had to
Because it looked awfully early.
Yes,
not many people in the stands.
Pretty early. It was probably maybe about 8 o'clock that time, maybe before the music started, because remember, London started 5 hours before this. Now, this podcast is all dedicated to the Philadelphia show. Nothing against the one in London. I think actually the highlight of it all time was when Queen did Radio Gaga, and they really tore that apart. And I know they still get a lot of the publicity because McCartney and some other things were there. But with us experiencing the Philadelphia part, and the way he mentioned when the acts were finished in Philadelphia, the acts in London would go on. So there would be continuous music either on the screen or live in both venues. And me, with my little knowledge of the technical end and always seeing, I was in awe of, they had to be like 15 satellite trucks, uplinks, downlinks, wherever it was all going. The technology of the time was just insane. It was just amazing. And
back, better than I did, the way they had to triangulate with the satellites, you always had a delay waiting.
Yes.
You asked a question, and the person who was abroad, it wasn't an instantaneous answer. There was a delay. So that's what you got 40 years ago.
Well, this is actually a treat because remember, we were there. We didn't see. We only saw what was up on the screen and the boards. And to give you some people as perspective, that we ended up having 4-hour shifts and then like a half-hour break, 45-minute break, and then another 4-hour shift. I remember. Yeah.
I said, no breaks. I'm just going to work all the way through.
No water, no nothing. But it just so happens that's a panoramic view that you would see to the right, well, the left and the right. They were not as big as I thought. I thought the screens were bigger, but they were big enough that you're able to see what was going on in London. And it was a perfect day. It was a perfect July day in Philadelphia. But, you see, not much was needed as far as clothing goes. And, underneath the catacombs and trying to use the bathrooms and the facilities, we're Spartan. JFK was not in the best of condition at that time. Basically, everything pretty much were barely working, and it was condemned 4 years later, but it served its purpose. And so I find it interesting. I have the one picture of Madonna. So that year I started, or the year before, I started in the video cassette business. I was working, if anybody ever went to a video store, I was selling tapes for the distributors. And it just so happened Madonna just started, but then like in any celebrity, they're always trying to get you. And evidently she ended up doing a softcore thing that was on but my company had it, I was selling it. But you'd have to say she really, for a 24, 26-year-old, she really, took over, because I'll never forget, she was at the Spectrum 2 months before that. And we worked, her first actual tour. She, did a hell of a job. But it's interesting how I use this one clip because, see if I can find it, that Bette Midler is behind stage with her, with Madonna, trying to get, set up for her. And I think it's really interesting that Madonna is, immense in trying to get everything, and Bette Midler is trying to say hi to her. So it's really interesting.
keep your head level on the bass.
Oh, hi, Billy. How you doing?
Two. People are going to have to move away from them side field monitors. Hello. Keep playing the bass, please. Two. You don't move away from them, you'll hurt your ears.
Hi, Madonna.
Okay, bass is good. Need to check the drum machine, guitar stage. Okay, guitar stage black, please. All right, guitar stage left. One more guitar stage left. Okay, emulator. All right. Keys line.
Well, that just gave a little bit of a
That was
flavor
pretty cool.
of behind the scenes. It went for another minute and a half, but the logistics now, that's where I would have really loved to have been back there. But just the logistics of all of that. So they hired the best people. They get everything because it did go pretty flawlessly. There's
But
not
you got a sense though of how many people, like they said, 1,200 people. That little cut there just gave you an idea of how many people right behind the curtain were involved.
Yeah, and just her as a young performer, and I'll never forget when she came out on stage because she was getting into a lot of trouble as far as what she was saying. She could, she thanked everybody for coming, and she says, "But I'm not saying shit. I'm just going to perform," and that was good. So out of that, we could be playing music, but that's not here. It's just the day itself, how it went. It went quicker than I thought. And I think later in the afternoon to the evening when Clapton came on, and I made sure, okay, I'm going to watch this. I was just blown away and just seeing his performance with Phil Collins on drums. So here is where this concert, they always say, well, there's this concert, that concert. Here's where this Guinness records will never be broken. Where one artist will be able to play the one in London, travel, come to another continent, and play the American part. So here's a BBC interview with Phil Collins getting to the Concord.
Wonderful stuff. That is Eric Clapton live on stage in Philadelphia there. And did you notice Phil Collins was playing the drums just behind him there, working away like mad at that drum kit. Phil Collins has probably been up for, I would think about, 16 hours now Phil Collins has been on go. He's yet to do his own set. And we have actually got pictures of Phil Collins, I believe, when he arrived in America. Am I right in saying that? We show us some pictures here. This is the helicopter, which actually took him to Heathrow Airport and landed him alongside Concorde. So this was during this afternoon, straight after Phil had done his set with Sting at Wembley Stadium, into one of Noel Edmonds' helicopters, and I think it was actually Noel flying that one, off and across the tarmac. There he is, and there's Concorde waiting for him, and Phil off on the plane. How are you? How's it been?
Great, yeah. Madness, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about it. What's the atmosphere like there now?
It's great, actually, yeah. The weather was really nice earlier, but now it's starting to get cloudy. Everyone's starting to get close together and warmed up,
It's like Woodstock on speed, is it?
It's good fun up there. Everyone's very nice backstage. No egos, nothing. It's really good.
Listen, whose idea was this whole trip, this Philadelphia idea?
No idea. No, it was, we thought if it could be done, wouldn't it be good to do it? And then we went into the logistics, and we found out that it was possible. And then we had to, I didn't want to go just to America to play my own song, so I arranged Eric Clapton's on tour out there, and so is Robert Plant. So I rang them up and see if I could play with them. So give me something to go for. And it's just nice to be involved in as much as possible, really. I'm a lunatic, really.
So I can't fathom that just doing that. And, and it's silly. And they said, well, the critics always had to be critics. Okay, he played for Clap, and then they played for Zeppelin.
Who bitched about his drum playing?
Yeah, they all did. The critics, but they had no rehearsal, and to me, it didn't sound that bad. Okay, it was live, but they went to perfection. And there's some other interviews. So it just shows that, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to play this other one. This was after he had the performance. This is backstage in Philly.
Yes, JFK Stadium kind of emptying out. People just recovering from an incredible 16 hours of live music. I think probably one of the most impressive things that the Live Aid and USA for Africa projects have produced, aside from the obvious direct aid to the countries involved, one of the most impressive things that they've produced is the uncanny desire of artists to want to give of themselves so impressively. Phil Collins is a guy who has done that quite a bit today. Now, as I promised you, right here what we have is a backstage interview. I hope we're ready for this, Ken. A backstage interview recorded earlier from Intercontinental Traveler Phil Collins.
I'm Alan Hunter backstage with a very busy Phil Collins who probably doesn't really know where he is, so we'll remind him. It's backstage.
No. Everything I do is carefully planned.
Backstage JFK, that's where we are.
That's right, yep.
You started your morning off very early, your day off early. Like when?
Well, 9:45 I woke up English time, which of course was, 4 in the morning here. And I just got up, got the kids breakfast, and then got in the car, dropped them off at my mum's place. And we came to Wembley, and I did a few songs with Sting. I did a couple of songs, the same songs I did just then. I only know 2 songs. And then
how did those go?
They were very good, yeah, I enjoyed it. They were very good, I enjoyed it. And we did a couple of songs, Sting and I, together. We did Every Breath You Take and a song from the new album, my new album. And then I came here. I got on Concorde and came here. Got asked a lot of questions on the plane. But I enjoyed doing it. I wanted to come and play with Eric because, we're neighbours, we're great buddies, and I just wanted to play. I wanted to play the drums. So I came here to play with him. I wanted to play with Robert and Jimmy, and I played with him. And I did my 2 songs that I know. And it was great fun. This is what your time is for, isn't it? To use it up doing silly things like this, really.
Well, of course you know the song, so you just sort of tapping along. But, there's no rehearsal for this kind of stuff, right? Or is there?
No, Jimmy, Robert, John Paul Jones, and Tony Thompson, they rehearsed for a couple of hours the other day, and I was supposed to have a cassette to listen to in the helicopter coming here, but that didn't materialise until I got here. So when I got here, I quickly rushed in to say hello to Eric, find out what songs he was playing, rushed over to Jimmy and Robert to see what songs they were playing, and I got a quick 1, 2, 3, 4 through it, and I was told to lay off if I didn't know where I was, which I laid off quite a lot. No rehearsal at all. These things are better not rehearsed, to be honest. You're better off just going with the flow of it. And it's the spontaneous moments that work.
Well, now you're through here, and I understand you're off to Australia for another night's
work. Yeah, I'm going. And then Nigeria, and then off to Germany for the...
Well, we'll let you go sit down and wipe the sweat. Thanks, Phil. Good luck with everything. Okay.
You really do.
Well, that just gives you... I got up, he got up late, got up 9:45 English time. He gave his kids breakfast and then drove him to his mother's where his kids stayed at his mother. Because I think he was in the middle of a divorce at that point. So his mother was watching his kids. And then he's going to go on tour. So
Australia.
Yes, my first night working there was it was the Sixers playoff game early. And then they moved his concert till 9:30. So, and that was only 2 months before that. So that actually was amazing. So this is the Philadelphia concert. And I don't want to be, against not other performers. The Hall & Oates from Philly were there. Patti LaBelle was there with Teddy Pendergrass. He came in a special appearance because he was paralyzed. He was in a wheelchair. The Hooters opened up. They were Philadelphia's best new group at that point. There's a lot of great artists there, but I don't want to just say, not to let them know that they were there, but I think just these particular situations were just amazing. So throw something in there, buddy.
I'll tell you. It was I just you know so much more than I do. Like you said, Patti LaBelle. Yeah, I guess she was there. Then you said Teddy Pendergrass, and that was after he was paralyzed. A
couple of years after. Yeah.
I thought he was paralyzed because in 1985 was Teddy Pendergrass. 1985. He was before that. It's just 40 years later, and you're just amazed at all these artists and how many showed up. And I remember the Hooters again. So when did the Hooters start here? Was it 8 o'clock?
It was 9. And actually, I think Joan Baez or somebody did some kind of a dedication. And there was actually Chevy Chase Dan Aykroyd with Bette Midler trying to do a little comedy stuff just to fill time. And,
But did they start playing the British music at 7 here?
I think so. Yes. Yeah, it was. The British concert was already on the screens when we even got there to start. They were testing at that point. But I had a couple other little videos here. So I'm going to just play. I forget which. I know that's Live Aid Conclusion.
Yeah, I got a question though. So Phil Collins in both sides of the pond, he didn't play with Genesis. He played
right. Because remember, he was still now. That year, he was touring for No Jacket Required, his solo act, because he was in Philly in May. And I think he just finished up there. He was back there for a little bit of R&R, and then he was going back on tour for his solo tour. And then he didn't come to Genesis back the following year. And it so happens that September of '86, I worked the Genesis concert, and like that voice after the Genesis concert, go to the club, go to West LA, and that's where I went and met Cheetah.
I remember Mike and the Mechanics. That was they were a good band.
Oh God, yeah. So it's just interesting here that this is a 7-minute interview. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but just how the artists are, and between Zeppelin, it was only with Bottom dying, their drummer dying, they just reunited just for this, but they seem to all get around. And then another one was
certainly the case that today was a day of collaboration between artists, and also, most importantly, a day for reunions, probably the most anticipated, the Led Zeppelin reunion. Right here, an interview with the reunited members of Led Zeppelin.
We're backstage, JFK, with, gee whiz, a lot of guys here.
A lot of guys.
A lot of laughs. A lot of people, yeah, a lot of laughs. You said that on stage. A lot of people out there are going, did I really just see that? Are you surprised that it finally went off?
What?
What you just did.
Oh, you mean struggling with the monitor mix? I think it was great. And it's just one of those things that was great. It happened for about 20 minutes, and it was very nice.
How long did it take to assemble everybody in this large group?
We didn't actually assemble. The three of us know what we're doing, and everybody who helped us did their very, very best, including Phil here and Paul Martinez here and Tony Thompson, wherever he is.
Tony is wandering around somewhere, so you were just sort of keeping the rhythm, hoping that you knew the song.
I just wanted to come here and not just sing my old boring songs. I wanted to come here and play with somebody. And you see, so I said to Robert, could I play? This was a while ago. And then, and I wanted to play with Eric, you see. So I just came here to play the drums, and I had a good time. So that was what I came here for.
You've been a busy man. You didn't rehearse any then for this thing? Did you two get together prior to this event and say, okay, remember?
We met at Pangbourne Railway Station. He had a wonderful girlfriend at the time. What was her name?
Seriously, though?
This morning.
And interview goes from what's that?
Amazing how young
they are. Of course. Now, it shows that there was no animosity or saying, "Oh, you sucked." They all understood what it was, and they're not like, and the critics say, Collins was no good and he didn't help out. They all seemed fine. It was like, and even you go like, we know what we're doing. We've done this before, just a different drummer. That's all. And it was fine, So, but yeah, Robert Plant, and the greatest guitar player ever next to Jimi Hendrix was, but Jimmy Page.
Wasn't there a rumor back then that maybe the Beatles. that
Yes.
were
Oh,
reunited for that.
But remember, Lennon was already dead.
I know.
So
The three of them. Had
McCartney was there. Harrison didn't show up, and Ringo didn't show up for whatever reason. They had open invitations. McCartney actually closed the British end of it. George, for some reason, he thought it was just. Now, George had the first charity concert in '71. Bangladesh in Madison Square Garden. And that was 14 years earlier. So why George wasn't part of it, why Ringo wasn't part of it. Now, in retrospect, if Lennon was still alive, I actually think they would have been there in one capacity. Just
Wouldn't that have been cool? Wouldn't that have been
that's where it's so sad that he was going and he was, taken the way he was.
God, 8 years prior, yeah.
5 years prior.
When did he die? 77 or 80?
December of 80. And this was, and there I knew that probably they would have reunited for maybe a song or two, whatever, and what could have been. But yeah, it was an amazing day. What else do you remember? And now I have to say, at the end of the night, we had all right, I was 31. We still had so much energy. Now my parents were like,
how did we hook up? How did we find each other?
Huh?
How did we find each other?
I don't know. There's no.
I guess did we all have to punch out or something?
We had to sign out. We had to sign out, and I just took up. Maybe you looked. Did I sign out yet, or no? Did you sign out yet? And we waited, and
what did we eat? Well, you said they had food. I can't remember the food.
They basically had their two concession stands open with chicken and hot dogs and burgers and basic food, and they did And I brought a lot of fruit. I brought oranges and grapes and stuff like that. And look, they treated us royally. It would have been great if Ron would have been on here because he would have had all the backstories. But
and how much did we make an hour, Carl?
What's that?
How much did we make an hour?
$4.50 an hour. We didn't do it for the money.
But that's the thing. It's like, I was at Live Aid and I got paid for it. That was great.
That's the one thing. And we had more mobility than the crowd did because we knew we had to take our breaks after every 4 hours. But Bill Graham was saying 92,000. By 6 o'clock, there was over 100, 105 people in the place.
Yeah, because your buddies let people in that got paid under the table.
They made a fortune. And that's how 2 years later, when I was with Gina at JFK, you two was at JFK. I told Gina, hey, we're going to go to see U2. You got tickets? No, I'll get it. Was able to get in. That's another story for another day. That's before the barcodes and, scanners and all that stuff.
Hey, Carl, how long did you keep your yellow Spectacard shirt after you quit?
It was a couple years.
Always and then it's handy for something, but I never used it.
Yeah, and then you end up using it for like a sleep shirt. Then it's got a whole, But it's there is really no fights, arguments.
No,
it was almost like Did you work Grateful Dead? It was almost like a Grateful Dead concert.
I don't think. Nope. No, I didn't.
People were so nice. And the thing is, thank God for these guys hosing them down.
Man.
Now, there had to be midday. That's got to be 100,000 people right there. Well, even if I had tickets, man, I wouldn't want to be in the middle of that. Not that I'm claustrophobic, but I need to have control, And, and that's, but hey,
Paul,
people.
You're the expert. How many seats does JFK? What's their capacity?
The original one that was still used for the Army-Navy game was 102,000.
Okay, now stop for a second. The only place where you don't have seating is the Spectrum side, and that's where the stage was.
Right.
So considering that all the seats were taken, plus all the seats that were on the floor, had to be.
Now, that was general admission. That was the floor. That was the difference. The $50 seats were in the stands. The $35 were on the field.
Were there assigned seats, or there was an assigned seat?
No, that was general admission. There was no assigned seats there. You see that opening shot of the field. There was no chairs there.
But so even in the stands, there weren't assigned seats?
So there were technically 90. Well, they say the official count was 89 something. But, okay.
The fire code people do that. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, and but Wembley only had 72, and then just like they said, if they were looking for a venue in the West Coast, you have another 3 hours. Phil Collins would have never been able to do what he did, and here we are reminiscing 40 years ago this coming weekend of an amazing event that we were both able to work, make a few dollars, enjoy the day, and it's a shame we didn't have the iPhones and be able to capture. Can you imagine all the videos and pictures what people would have at that point? And I just went through online and checking and all the pictures, and everybody had a wonderful time.
There were great concerts that summer. Again, I told you about Wham, and then there was Springsteen in September.
Yeah, in August at the Vet. That was the first Vet concert.
So get this, I was working at Temple Hospital at the time. All the guys I worked with, Joe Gallo, was a big Springsteen fan. I said, Joe, maybe I can help you get a job with Spectagard. Carl, he got a job. He worked the stage 3 days for Springsteen, and then he quit.
Why not? Well, look at me. I met Gina that Friday night. And then the following weekend, the Spectrum had the motorcycle, whatever thing. And I called out. Hey, we had a weekend down in Wildwood. So what was our penalty if we called out? Usually you work the bathrooms, right?
Oh, I never once got bathroom.
So I come back, it's Billy Joel. I'm saying, where am I going? Then I go down there.
Well, here we go.
And they go, oh, you see her? Now you could not go in the dressing rooms, but they point wherever she goes besides the dressing room, you're going to follow her. And I wish, I had a picture of them with Christy Brinkley. So that's amazing time.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's your highlight.
Yeah. It's just a shame that there's no, actual pictures, but hey, I was there. And my little situation I'm in now, I look back, not too bad. So
there was a great, I got to work with Spectagard, the Wildwood Convention Center. George Thorogood, the Delaware Destroyers. I worked at the stage, and he was tapping his foot on my shoulder. It was so cool. Same thing I did that with Bryan Adams at the Spectrum. Just the coolest things. But I only worked there 6 months. You worked there longer than I did.
Oh yeah, Bryan Adams was there 3 times. I worked there because he worked Live Aid, and then he also worked at Demand. Did you ever work at Demand Music Center?
Yes, Amy Grant.
Oh, I wish I would have been able to see that.
How old could she have been? 21?
No,
that was into the gospel singer.
Yeah. The thing is, I worked Santana. I worked Tom Petty there. And then Bryan Adams, it deluged. And those poor people on the back end that didn't have any cover, they didn't care. They got drenched. But, it was a different time. And it was just, it was a lot of fun.
TLA. Remember the TLA?
No, Tower.
The Tower.
Tim.
Did you notice the sound check that you played a half an hour ago? That's like the
Tim. That was Tears
I guess
for
that's
Fears.
The universal sound test.
And that was Tears for Fears. So winding down a little bit is this great interview with Mick Jagger.
Now, backstage a little bit earlier, we had Alan Hunter, and right now we've got Alan's interview with Mick Jagger.
Alan Hunter backstage at JFK Stadium with Mick Jagger, who's going to be a very busy man this evening.
Yeah, well, yeah, everyone's been busy today. Yeah. I'm not as busy as Phil Collins, but I'm pretty busy.
You didn't fly over from Wembley, that's for sure.
No, I didn't fly there. But, no, this is enough.
Well, with all of the activities tonight, have you rehearsed for everyone? Yesterday, yesterday, I do know that you rehearsed with Tina.
Yeah, we rehearsed with the band, Hall Notes and the Temps. So like 4 hours, actually. And we rehearsed before in the week. So, you know, we know our bit pretty well.
Are you looking forward to singing with Tina?
Yeah, I've sung with her quite a few times before, though. I mean, I don't think we've done a big stadium show, and nothing, of course, like this, but we've sung together before.
How about Daryl Hall and John Oates as a backing band?
Well, yes, the band too, but they're great, and they've been very, very good with me about it, and worked very hard on it, and, you know, I think they've been wonderful.
Well, we asked Daryl how he felt about singing it back up for you. He said it was an honor, so.
That's nice.
I thought he was just going to play the tambourine a bit.
No, he's singing away there.
Yeah, no, he is.
Yeah.
We saw the video earlier.
Yeah.
With you and David?
Yeah, Dancing in the Street.
How long ago did you do that?
I think it's like 10 days ago. It was a real kind of quickie. I'm just watching the end of Phil Collins. It was a real quickie. We went in the studio, in the recording studio at 8, and we finished the track by 11. And you're going to say, it sounds like. And then we went to do the video in London about midnight. We finished at 8 o'clock in the morning, so the whole thing took like 12 hours, which is the way I prefer to do it. And it kind of has, I think, it's nice because it's spontaneous to work like that.
Is it going to be released as a single?
Well, we're thinking about it. You know, we thought we would be another few pennies for this number from David and I. So, you know, we'll take this. I haven't actually heard it since I've done it. I've left it with David, and he's going to send me the tapes this week.
How did you get involved with Live Aid then?
Through Bob Geldof, who I've known for a long time actually, and you know, he approached me. Actually, he said, "Would you like to do the duet with Tina?" So I think so. I said, "Yeah." And then after that, he said, well, "Would you like to do something else?" I said, "Well, I said, what happens?" And then we got down the road with Daryl and John, like that.
I guess rock and roll is a pretty good entity to go after a cause like this, huh?
Yeah, because like all around the world, it's very much the thing that everyone can be in sympathy with. You know, it's like music is, you know, you must have heard these cliches all day. But you know, from a different mouth. But you know, I think, you know, for all over the world, I mean, you know, literally all over the world, people will know something about this kind of music. They might not know every performer, but they're going to know some here, some there, and it's going to be a good show for them. So I think it's like the only thing almost like that.
Briefly, Stones, what's happening?
Well, just starting to, you know, do the second stage of recording our album, which we hope will be out in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mick. Go to it tonight, okay?
Yeah.
Amazing, and he's still going at 82. And I can't believe I just saw McCartney is going to be doing an short American tour in the fall at 83.
And Jagger runs around the stage like he's a 30-year-old. Amazing.
Yeah. And it's just, you know, my friend Kristen, when the Stones were in Philly last year at the Link, and they were like maybe 10 rows back and telling her daughter, "Do you believe that man's 81 years old?" And I saw them twice, 72 at the Spectrum with Stevie Wonder, that afternoon concert, and then in 78 at JFK. And, you know, they were all in their youth at that point. But
I saw McCartney had to be the 90s at the Vet.
The Vet. Who with? Who did you go with? I got the tickets. You were with us. It was me, Gene, and Julie, and then you and Chris were behind us. We were in the 500 level. Great concert, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wait, was it the left field?
Yeah, we're left field, the 500 level.
Yeah. They were good seats.
Yeah. Poor Julie, when Live and Let Die, he does the pyrotechnics and the bomb, and she goes, you know. But, yeah, because, let me see, there's one more. There's a one that I want to do at the end. Let's see what this one is.
You know, looking at JFK Stadium, the way that we're seeing it right now, kind of reminds me of the way that it looked when we all piled in here this morning at about 5:30. It's hard to believe that it's 17 hours later. What a day this has been. We have seen some of the most incredible live performances ever. Great live performances, amazing collaborations, some surprises, and a whole lot of fun, and, well, a feeling that it's pretty hard to explain. We hope that MTV's coverage of all of this has given you that feeling. There's no question that everybody who is here, everyone who is at Wembley, everybody who is sitting around right now watching this is feeling that way, and I hope that you do too. It's been a hell of a night. We are all very, very tired. I wish you a very good night. Go and get some rest. We're going to see you tomorrow. But together, we all made history.
That was very cool.
Yeah, it's I know our last podcast was subtitled "Nobody Cares," and I'm sure millennials and people nobody cares. But I don't know, when you really look at history, and I think I'm more of a music buff than you are, and the concerts and things, and have it all done. This was monumental. It is something with two concerts, two different continents, and getting it together the way it was. It is amazing, and all for charity. And it did help out, but then, the world's still really where it is, and there's still poverty, there's still people impoverished, and hey, it is what it is. But we made our $4.
Here's a question. What was bigger, Live Aid or Woodstock?
Woodstock was bigger in total people there and time, 3 days. But they realized from the mistakes of Woodstock, they didn't want to have another Woodstock. They didn't want to have something that long, that protracted, that was too much. That was overkill. Yeah. And they wanted something more contained in a stadium because really, if you see that, there was 30,000, 40,000 tickets sold, but then there was ended up 200,000 people stormed the gates and crashed everything. And then they had that rain and the monsoon and everything. And it's just, look, that's epic. Who knew what that was going to happen there? But even they said they didn't want to have another Woodstock. They wanted something contained in a stadium that, with enough police, security, restrooms, food, the whole deal, so.
But Live Aid was epic. I mean, there's just no getting around it. I mean, and it's so cool that we were there for it.
Yeah, so obviously another thing that we didn't watch was the local Philadelphia news that Rob Jennings was on the weekend patrol for Channel 6 many, many times. And this is about a minute of how the crowd left.
A phenomenal ending. And right now, the 100,000 or so rock fans are making their way out of JFK Stadium and onto the streets of South Philadelphia. Chopper 6 is high above it all, avoiding the traffic, and along for the ride tonight is Action News reporter Gary Majors. Gary?
Well, Rob, Live Aid 1985 has now ended, and the real challenge actually begins. That's as the 90,000 plus fans try to make their way out of JFK Stadium. And as it looks right now, the asphalt, the black asphalt that is now turning into a sea of headlights and taillights, but everything looks to be running smoothly at this hour as the stadium begins to empty. Apparently, Philadelphia police were well prepared for the exodus, as well as the people coming to the stadium, and it looks like they've got everything set up. Traffic is not crisscrossing in such a pattern where they're going to have massive traffic jams. It looks as though right now that traffic is moving smoothly along most of the major arteries leaving JFK Stadium tonight. But traffic is only part of the story. Now, as the masses leave the vet tonight, it gives them a chance to think about the past 17 hours and what they've experienced. I talked to a number about Live Aid 1985.
I think it was great that everybody got together like that, and the crowd stayed great for the whole time. Everybody was getting along with everyone. It was great.
She's right about that. It was really, for as big as it was, there were no events. There was no problems. I mean,
no. There might have been a few medical things and overheat exhaustion, but overall, there was no police presence, no fights, no, arrests or anything. Even, so we witnessed an amazing event 40 years ago this weekend, and I appreciate you coming on and reminiscing a little bit about it, because yes, it was about the music, but I think on this venue with YouTube, and he put some music on there, and oh, you can't play that, that's got copyright now. So we just did the interviews. I want to thank MTV again for the phenomenal coverage that they did, and people who actually taped it on their VHS. And I think CNN is actually doing a documentary on Saturday night or Sunday night that they're going to have, which will add certain things to it. So it'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I'll look for it too.
It's interesting. I thought so. It was 85. That's 10 years. That was 10 years after the Flyers won their second cup. 10 years
Yeah,
after.
and they were in JFK, right? What was your first time at JFK?
Oh, I know. We went to a thrill show. And that was one of my questions. What else was JFK used for in the last 10 years other than that thrill show? No concert.
Well, no, it was in 76, the Magic, I think Electric Factory Concerts wanted an outdoor to do outdoor shows. And they realized the technology was getting good to do it. And they asked the city, can we use JFK? And they worked out some kind of a deal. And the Peter Frampton one that was at JFK was the first one. It had like 90,000. Wow. You count the ticket price, even was $15 in that. And then they ended up having like 3 or 4 concerts. So I was there. My friend Mikey Lapp, who was groomsman of my wedding, he was a big Who fan. And you see here they were saying, well, the reuniting of the Who. So in 82, in September, they ended up having their farewell tour at JFK, and he had tickets like the 5th row, and that was great being there. So my first time there was my Uncle John, who worked for Abba's Dairies. And when the AFL was still a fledgling league, they had an exhibition game with the New York Titans and Buffalo Bills that, we were there. And I'm looking like this big stadium. There must have been like 4,000 people there, but it was interesting. So any other things you think of or reminisce about that day?
No, I mean, I think we've covered an awful lot of ground. It was just a historic day, and it just the 17 hours, whatever it was, just flew by. I mean, first you're coming into this complex and it's pitch black, and the next thing you know, it's midnight. You're leaving. I mean, and it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm dead tired. It was just a wonderful event.
We were in that adrenaline was flowing all night, and then I had to go
highlights of our lives.
My parents were down the shore at that time, so I went down to see my parents, and I didn't get there till 2:30 in the morning, and we had a weird long pants. I think we still had a weird long pants. I don't think we could wear shorts.
Hey, did you notice the one security guy? Did you notice right at the end that clip you had?
Yeah,
there was something at the gate with the yellow,
with the
card and the hat, I guess.
So when I got in, my mother goes, "Oh my God!" She goes, "Luckily, I just peeled everything off, put everything right in the washer." But talk about being tired. But it was an amazing time. I'm glad we were able to witness it together, and the music's there on YouTube and all the classic ones. And I did want to just not talk about the Philly performers because yes, they were great there too. Hall & Oates, Patti LaBelle, the Hooters, Teddy Pendergrass, Ashford and Simpson, a lot of great ones. And you look, so when I close out here, there's a video that actually gives all the statistics and all the artists, when they perform, what they perform. So, Cuz, anything else? And I think maybe the rest of the summer, my little medical thing, hopefully after the 24th, I'll be free at last. We'll see. And hopefully we could do another one. And we won't do another celebration anniversary until January.
Nothing to celebrate.
Yeah, January, when it'll be a 50th year of another sporting event that made history too, worldwide. So we'll do maybe a couple more. And you said that you want to give a topic on something else, but appreciate you on board. Anything else?
50 year, 76. What was
January 11th, 76.
Russians?
Yes.
Ruskies?
They're leaving the ice.
Yeah,
They're leaving the ice. Yeah, it'll be 50 years for that too. So that'll be our last ones. Yeah.
You realize we just hit an hour?
Yes. Yeah. Well, definitely we won't be doing in October Black Friday, which I was at.
No.
So you have to be a Philadelphia sports.
That's like the 64 Phillies. No.
hopefully that
I'm doing
faded
well.
away.
Oh.
Because thanks again, I'm going to play this 2 minutes about all the performers and the background on it. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon, and
You got it.
thanks, buddy.